In this video, I want to share with you some very helpful astral projection advice. This is like the number one thing. If you nail this technique, then it's almost guaranteed that you're going to have an out-of-body experience. And this technique is called the wake back to bed method. The wake back to bed method is a very important part of this whole process of separating from your physical body. I can tell you from personal experience, if I nail the wake back to bed method, it is almost guaranteed that I'm going to have an out-of-body experience. You will soon understand what I mean by nailing the back to bed method, because you can do kind of a bad job with the wake back to bed method, but you can, if you do your exit technique right, then you can still have an out-of-body experience. The only difference is that when you do a bad job with the wake back to bed method, you won't be as conscious during the whole process, and when you're out of body and you come back, you won't be able to bring back a lot of memories. So the better you do with the wake back to bed method, the more conscious you are during the whole process, and the more memories you can bring back from the other side. So if you have had sleep paralysis or even got to the vibrational state, mastering the wake back to bed method will give you this last little missing piece in your puzzle, and you will be able to have an out-of-body experience. So if you are new to astral projection, you never had an out-of-body experience, or you had them spontaneously but want to have them more regularly, then mastering this one technique, mastering this one method will help you to achieve that. The back-to-bed method is very simple in theory, but there's a tricky part. There's a tricky part to it, especially when you like sleeping. So I'm going to give you a personal example. This is maybe the most helpful thing. So I usually astral project on the weekends. I like to stay up at night and usually go to bed at like 1 o'clock, and it takes a little bit of time for me to fall asleep. So I'm probably asleep like around 2 o'clock. And I usually, if I don't project, then I sleep till 10 o'clock, so about 8 hours. So when I use this method, I set my alarm to wake me up like around 8 or 7. If you want to use this method, it is best to sleep at least 4 hours, but you can also sleep 6 hours. If you like sleeping, then it's best for you to sleep 6 hours. So the tricky part is that when you wake yourself up after just a few hours of sleep, you will be very, very sleepy. You will have this intense urge to just go back to sleep again. And this is the part where you have to be the strongest. You have to fight against the urge of wanting to fall asleep again. It is difficult, I know. I love sleeping. But if you want to have an out-of-body experience, this is the time where you have to be the strongest. So once your alarm goes off, you have to at least sit up in the bed. The best is to leave the bed fully, do something outside, go into another room. I usually only sit up, I don't leave the room. But if you really want to nail it, it is best to really leave the room. The best is to stay awake for at least 10 minutes. If you stay only awake for a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, it is almost certain that you won't, even if you have an out-of-body experience, even if you nail the other steps, you won't be as conscious. I did this many times. I like sleeping a lot, and sometimes I'm not strong enough to really stay awake for the 10 minutes. Then I still do my astral projection technique, but I'm not that conscious. And I like it to really be, the experience is so much better when you're really fully conscious during the whole process and fully conscious when you're outside of the body. You have so much more control, and you can bring so much more memories back, and you also, it's just much better. You will enjoy it much more if you are more conscious. So to be able to achieve that, we have to stay awake at least for 10 minutes. But the other thing is, you also can't be awake for too long, because if you're awake for like an hour or so, it will be way more difficult to really calm yourself down again, to relax again, to that point where you can exit the body. We have to fully really relax again. We have to fall asleep essentially again, but the body has to fall asleep. An astral projection, an out-of-body experience, is achieved when the body is asleep and the mind is awake. So we have to get to a point where the body falls asleep. We have to get relaxed again. If you're too awake, it will be more difficult and you will get frustrated. So stay awake for at least 10 minutes up to, let's say, half an hour. You have to figure it out for yourself, which one works best for you, but at least 10 minutes. If you really want to nail it, 10 minutes is the best. So now you did that. What I usually do, I sit up, or I just put the pillow behind my back and look at my phone for 10 minutes. It's easy because you can see the time. It is in the name of the technique, wake, back to bed. So the next thing after the 10 minutes are over is that we have to go back to bed. If you normally sleep on your side, it is okay to try your exit technique on the side, but if you really, really want to have success, it is best to try your technique on your back and with your pillows, with maybe you put even a second pillow behind your back, that you're a little bit higher than usual and you are on your back. So now you do your astral projection technique, the body asleep, mind awake technique, or the rope technique. There are a lot of techniques out there on the internet. I do my own technique. If you want to know more about my technique, I have some information about it in the description below. So I do the steps. It is very important, if you are a beginner, you have to stick to the steps. If you don't stick to the steps, it's kind of even impossible to do it. So I'm doing my steps, and then I'm able to exit the body. I really love it when I do a really good job with the wake back to bed method, because I love it to experience the moment where the second body separates from the physical body and I float up from my physical body and I'm fully conscious. I can see everything in the room. The experience is so much better. I'm not always strong and I'm sometimes just able to stay awake for a few minutes, but I regret it every time. The experience is fun if you are not that fully conscious, but it's way more fun and amazing and just mind-blowing when you're fully conscious. So this is my advice if you are a total beginner, to try to master the wake back to bed method. You can even just start if you're a little bit scared of the whole process, just try the wake back to bed method on its own and just see how it feels like. Get comfortable with it, and then if you feel like, okay, now I'm ready to try an exit technique, try the astral projection technique of my choice, then do your technique, and then you will be able to exit the body. It's really not that difficult. I was a total beginner once. I never had any spontaneous experiences before I had my first experience. So there's hope for everybody. Every human being has this talent. It is a hidden skill we all have, and it will be so awesome and exciting. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and see you soon. Goodbye.